Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance, watching the stars through the main viewer. The ship moved slowly through the outer edge of human space, near the colony world of New Geneva. Her crew worked quietly at their stations, checking systems and running scans of nearby space. Maya had been exploring this region for 3 years, now always looking for new worlds that humans could call home. The communication panel beeped with an incoming message. Lisa Park, her tactical officer, turned from her station with a worried look on her face. "Captain, we have a priority transmission from Earth Command. It carries the highest security codes I have ever seen." Maya walked over to the communication station and activated the secure channel. The face of Admiral Kate Sullivan appeared on the screen, her expression grave and tired. "Maya, I am sending this message to every human ship and colony in known space. The Galactic Alliance has made their final decision about humanity. They have given us 1 year to surrender all our colonies and return to Earth for what they call protective custody. If we refuse, they will destroy every human world, including Earth itself." Maya felt her blood turn cold. The Galactic Alliance controlled most of the known galaxy with over 300 different alien species. They had refused to let humans join 50 years ago, when Earth first made contact. The Alliance claimed humans were too aggressive and unpredictable to be trusted with space travel, but humans had kept exploring anyway. The message continued. Admiral Sullivan looked directly into the camera as if she could see Maya through the transmission. The Alliance Council met on their capital world of Nexus Prime. The decision was unanimous. Every single species voted to eliminate humanity as a threat to galactic peace. The Sylvani Dominion, led by their High Arbiter Zerothiel, spoke for the motion. The insectoid Zephyrian Collective, represented by their speaker, Vexera, supported the vote completely. Maya clenched her fists as she listened. She had heard stories about both species. The elves of the Sylvani were ancient and powerful, with technology that seemed like magic to humans. They controlled dozens of star systems and considered themselves the guardians of galactic civilization. The Zephyrians were a hive-mind species that thought and acted as one. Their ships moved with perfect coordination because every individual shared the same thoughts and goals. Lisa Park stood beside Maya, listening to every word. The tactical officer had served with Maya for 5 years and knew her captain well enough to see the anger building in her eyes. "Captain, what are our orders?" Maya looked at her friend and trusted officer. "We fight, Lisa. We show the galaxy that humans do not surrender without a battle." The transmission from Admiral Sullivan continued. "Earth Command is implementing the Human Resistance Protocol. Every colony world will begin immediate fortification. All exploration ships are to return to defensive positions around our most important systems. We have 1 year to prepare, and we will use every day of it. The Alliance thinks we will give up easily. They are about to learn they made a terrible mistake on the distant world of Nexus Prime." High Arbiter Zerothiel walked through the crystal halls of the Alliance Council building. She was tall and graceful, like all of her people, with long silver hair and eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. The elves had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, and she carried the weight of that responsibility on her shoulders. Athy had studied human culture for many years. She found their art and literature fascinating. Their music touched something deep in her soul that she did not fully understand, but the council had decided, and her duty was clear. Humans were too dangerous to be allowed freedom in the galaxy. They spread too quickly and fought too often. They reminded the older species of other young races that had caused great destruction before being stopped in the hive chambers of the Zephyrian homeworld. Vexara shared thoughts with 10,000 of her sisters. The collective mind processed information faster than any individual could think. The humans had surprised everyone with how quickly they learned to travel between stars. Most species took centuries to develop such technology. Humans had done it in decades. The collective memory held records of other young species that had threatened galactic peace. All had been stopped before they could spread their chaos to other worlds. Humans would be no different. The decision was logical and necessary for the greater good. Vexara felt no doubt, because the collective shared no doubt back on the ED's defiance. Maya called her senior officers to the briefing room. Commander Lisa Park sat across from her, along with Chief Engineer Amy Foster and Security Chief Dana Brooks. Maya looked at each of them in turn. These women had followed her across the galaxy, and she trusted them completely. "Ladies, we have a war to plan," Maya began. "The Alliance thinks they can scare us into surrender. They believe humans will choose slavery over death. They are wrong, Amy. I need you to start working on improvements to our weapons and shields. Use everything we learned from studying alien technology. Lisa, I want defensive plans for every human world. We need to make them pay for every attack. Dana, start training programs. For civilian populations, every human needs to know how to fight." Dr. Amy Foster had always been fascinated by alien technology. She had studied captured Alliance devices for years, trying to understand how they worked. Now that knowledge would be used for war instead of exploration. She nodded grimly. "I can have weapon upgrades ready in 3 months, Captain. The Alliance has better technology, but we learn faster than they expect." Lisa Park was already thinking about fleet movements and defensive positions. The Alliance had thousands of ships, but they were spread across the entire galaxy. Human forces were concentrated in just 12 star systems. That could be an advantage if they used it correctly. "We can make them come to us, Captain. Force them to attack our strongest positions." Maya stood and walked to the star map displayed on the wall. Humanity controlled 12 systems with 47 colony worlds. It seemed small compared to the vast Alliance territory, but these worlds held over 2 billion people. All of them would fight, rather than surrender. The galaxy was about to learn what humans did when backed into a corner. New Geneva, the colonial government, received Admiral Sullivan's message within hours. Governor Patricia Wells called an emergency session of the Colonial Council. The meeting lasted all night as they planned evacuations and fortifications. No one suggested surrender. No one mentioned the possibility of accepting Alliance rule. The war had not officially begun, but both sides were already moving. The Alliance began gathering fleets at strategic points throughout their territory. Human colonies started building weapons and training soldiers across the galaxy. Other species watched and waited to see what would happen when the most powerful alliance in history tried to destroy a species that refused to die. Quietly, Maya looked out at the stars. One more time, knowing that in 1 year this peaceful view would be filled with burning ships. The galaxy had chosen to erase Earth, so Earth had chosen war instead. 6 months had passed since the Alliance ultimatum, and the galaxy was changing. Earth Command had sent Admiral Kate Sullivan's message to every corner of human space. The response was immediate and defiant. Not a single colony voted to surrender. Instead, they began the largest military buildup in human history. Maya Rodriguez now held the rank of Admiral after her promotion by Earth Command. She commanded a battle group of 12 ships patrolling the border between human and Alliance space. Her flagship, the EDS Vengeance, was one of the newest vessels in the human fleet, equipped with weapons that Dr. Amy Foster had designed using captured alien technology. The first test came near the mining world of Kepler Station. A Zephyrian patrol encountered Maya's ships while conducting what they called a compliance inspection. The alien vessels moved in perfect formation like dancers following the same music. Their hulls gleamed silver in the starlight, and energy weapons charged along their sides. Maya watched the enemy ships approach on her main viewer. Commander Lisa Park stood at the tactical station ready to coordinate the fleet's response. The Zephyrian sent a message demanding that the human ships submit to boarding and inspection. Maya's answer was simple and direct. Her ships opened fire. The battle lasted 20 minutes. Human weapons tore through Zephyrian shields, while alien energy beams melted armor plating from human hulls. 3 Zephyrian ships were destroyed. Before the others retreated, Maya lost 1 destroyer, but proved that humans could fight the Alliance and win. The news spread quickly through both human and alien space, and the Alliance capital world of Nexus Prime, High Arbiter Zarathiel, received reports of the battle with growing concern. She had expected humans to fight, but not this effectively. The Zephyrian commander had reported that human ships moved unpredictably, using tactics that the collective mind could not anticipate. This was troubling news for the Alliance leadership. Sarathi was assigned to lead a diplomatic mission to assess human compliance with the ultimatum. She would travel to New Geneva with a small escort of elven warships. The mission was supposed to be routine, but Zarathiel suspected it would be anything but simple. She had read human literature and knew they valued freedom above safety. The elven fleet arrived at New Geneva 3 days after Maya's victory. The human colony had been preparing for war, and the orbital defenses were impressive. Weapon platforms surrounded the planet while patrol ships moved in defensive formations. Governor Patricia Wells agreed to meet with Zarathiel on the surface, but made it clear that surrender was not negotiable. Amy Foster had requested permission to attend the meeting as Earth's scientific representative. She had spent years studying alien technology and wanted to meet one of the legendary Sylvani in person. Amy had also discovered something important in her research that she hoped to share with the elven diplomat. The meeting took place in the colonial capital building. Zarathiel entered wearing flowing robes that seemed to shift color in the light. Her silver hair was braided with crystal ornaments that sparkled like stars. She moved with the grace of someone who had lived for centuries and seen the rise and fall of entire civilizations. Governor Wells introduced Dr. Foster as one of Earth's leading xenobiologists. Amy approached the elven diplomat with respect but not fear. She had prepared carefully for this moment. The research she wanted to share could change everything if Zarathiel would listen. Dr. Foster, you have studied my people, Zarathiel said, her voice carrying musical tones that seemed impossible from a human throat. What have you learned? Amy took a deep breath and activated a holographic display showing ancient historical records. I learned that the Sylvani were once refugees to your people, fled their homeworld when it was dying. You were saved by a species called the Kithara, who gave you sanctuary and technology. The hologram showed images of early elven settlements on worlds provided by their benefactors. The Kithara had been a peaceful race that welcomed the desperate Sylvani refugees. But as Amy's research revealed, the elves had later supported the Alliance decision to exterminate the Kithara for being too trusting and weak. Zarathiel stared at the historical records, her face showing emotions that Amy could not interpret. The elven diplomat had studied these same records, but had never considered them from this perspective. The parallels between ancient elven refugees and modern human expansion were impossible to ignore. Your people learned to survive by adapting and growing stronger, Amy continued. That is exactly what humans are doing now. The Alliance fears us for the same reasons your ancestors were feared when they first gained power. We expand quickly, and we do not accept limits. Isili, while this diplomatic drama unfolded on New Geneva, the war continued in other parts of the galaxy. Admiral Maya Rodriguez led her battle group against a Zephyrian supply convoy near the outer colonies. Her ships struck fast and hard, capturing several alien vessels intact before jumping away to safety during the raid. Maya encountered Vexera, the same Zephyrian speaker who had supported humanity's extermination. The alien vessel suffered critical damage when its main reactor overloaded, threatening to destroy the entire ship. Maya made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. She ordered her ships to rescue the Zephyrian survivors. Vexera found herself aboard a human ship for the first time. The experience was strange and disturbing. Humans moved individually, making their own decisions without consulting a collective mind. They showed concern for wounded prisoners and provided medical care without being ordered to do so. This behavior did not match what the collective knew about human savagery. Maya visited the injured Zephyrian commander in the medical bay. Vexera lay on a treatment table, her insectoid features alien, but somehow expressing confusion. Why did you save us? She asked through a translation device. My people voted to destroy yours. You should have let me. Maya sat down beside the treatment table, looking directly at her prisoner. You were wounded and needed help. That is enough reason for me. I do not kill helpless enemies, even if they are my enemies. The human admiral paused before continuing. You voted to exterminate my species, but you are still a living being, worthy of respect. These words troubled Vexera. More than any weapon could, the collective mind had taught her that humans were violent and untrustworthy, yet this human leader had risked her own ships to save alien lives. This contradiction created something the Zephyrian had never experienced before: individual doubt about collective wisdom. Back on New Geneva, the diplomatic meeting continued for hours. Zarathiel asked detailed questions about human society and culture. Dr. Foster provided honest answers about both human achievements and failures. She did not try to pretend that humans were perfect, but she argued that they deserved the same chance for growth that other species had received. The elven diplomat found herself drawn to these conversations in ways that surprised her. Amy Foster possessed a brilliant mind that could match even elven intellects. Their discussions ranged from art to philosophy to the nature of civilization itself. Zarathiel began to understand that humans were not the simple savages that Alliance propaganda portrayed. As the day ended, Zarathiel made a decision that would have consequences across the galaxy. She agreed to extend her mission and spend more time studying human society. Her official reports to the Alliance would be delayed while she conducted more thorough research. Governor Wells and Dr. Foster welcomed this development, knowing that every day of delay gave humanity more time to prepare for war. The war was spreading, but it was also changing both sides in unexpected ways. Humans were proving more adaptable and honorable than the Alliance expected. While some Alliance members were beginning to question the wisdom of genocide, the galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the hunters become the hunted, and sometimes the condemned find unexpected allies among their judges. The neutral moon of Kepler-7 had been chosen carefully for the secret meeting. It orbited a dead world between human and Alliance space, where sensor readings would be. Confused by natural radiation, Maya Rodriguez arrived first. With only her personal shuttle and a small security detail, she waited in an abandoned mining facility that offered perfect cover from orbital surveillance. Aratially arrived exactly on schedule, her shuttle landing silently beside Maya's vessel. The elven diplomat had spent 3 months studying human culture on New Geneva, and her official reports to the Alliance had become increasingly favorable toward humanity. This change had not gone unnoticed by Alliance leadership, but Zarathiel was too valuable to recall without solid evidence of betrayal. Amy Foster served as mediator for the meeting, since both sides trusted her scientific objectivity. The abandoned facility provided a stark setting for negotiations that could change the course of galactic history. 3 women from different worlds sat around a simple metal table, discussing the fate of billions. Zarathiel spoke first, her musical voice echoing in the empty chamber. I have seen your people up close, Admiral Rodriguez. Your colonies are not the military bases we expected. They are homes with families and children. Your soldiers fight to protect something precious, not to conquer territory for profit. Maya leaned forward, studying the elven diplomat carefully. We never wanted war with the Alliance. We only wanted the freedom to explore and grow. Your people once wanted the same thing when they fled their dying world. Dr. Foster has shown you the records. The ancient history still troubled Zarathiel deeply. Her people had forgotten the lessons of being refugees and had become the oppressors they once feared. Amy Foster had opened her eyes to uncomfortable truths about elven involvement in previous extinctions. The pattern was always the same: young species that expanded too quickly were labeled as threats and eliminated. Amy placed a datapad on the table, showing Alliance military deployments. The intelligence came from an unexpected source. Vexera, the Zephyrian commander, had been making regular reports to human forces. After her rescue, she provided detailed information about Alliance fleet movements and battle plans. Maya studied the tactical information with professional interest. The Alliance was massing forces for a major offensive against the core human worlds. Earth Command estimated they had 6 months before the attack began. The odds were overwhelming, but humans had faced impossible situations before. I have more than intelligence to offer, Zarathiel said quietly. I have a proposal that could split. The Alliance, the younger species, have always feared the older ones, like the Sylvani and the Hegemony Masters. If humans could prove that the Alliance leadership is corrupt, some member species might change sides. This was exactly what Maya had hoped to hear, but she needed more details. How do we prove corruption when the Alliance controls all official records? The elven diplomat smiled for the first time since the meeting began. We have an ally you have not met yet, a young elf named Kiramel, who serves in the Alliance archives. She has been gathering evidence for years. Meanwhile, on the Zephyrian homeworld, Vexera faced the collective judgment of her species. Her individual thoughts had been growing stronger since her rescue by human forces. This change frightened the collective mind because individual consciousness was considered a dangerous mental illness among the Zephyrian collective, demanded that Vexera submit to mental reconditioning to remove her individual thoughts. But she had experienced something that the collective could not understand: friendship with humans, who had risked their lives to save her. She refused the treatment, and declared her independence from the collective. Vexera's declaration triggered the first civil war in Zephyrian history. Thousands of individuals who had been secretly developing their own thoughts joined her rebellion. They seized ships and weapons from collective forces, and established independent settlements on Outer Colony worlds. The Alliance suddenly faced rebellion within one of its most loyal member species back on Kepler-7. The secret negotiations continued. Maya offered Zarathiel something that no Alliance leader had ever requested: human cultural knowledge. She provided access to human art, literature, and music, along with detailed studies of human social development. The elven diplomat was fascinated by humanity's rapid adaptation to different environments. CME Foster contributed her scientific expertise by explaining how human genetic diversity created natural resistance to conformity. Humans could not be easily controlled by collective thinking or rigid social structures. This made them dangerous to authoritarian governments, but valuable as allies for species seeking freedom. Zarathiel made her decision. After reviewing all the evidence presented, she would help humanity, but the cost would be enormous. Her position in the Alliance would be destroyed, and her people might exile her forever. Still, the alternative was genocide against a species that deserved better treatment. The Alliance is planning Operation Final Solution, Zarathiel revealed. A coordinated strike against all human worlds, simultaneously using weapons that will sterilize entire planets. The attack is scheduled for the 1-year deadline, exactly as promised. They expect no human resistance because they believe you will surrender. When faced with certain death, Maya felt cold anger building inside her chest. The Alliance intended complete genocide, not just military defeat. Every human man, woman, and child would die if the operation succeeded. This information changed everything about human defensive planning. They could not simply protect key worlds, they had to prevent the attack entirely. Der Foster suggested a desperate plan based on the intelligence Vexera had provided. If human forces could capture Alliance communication arrays, they might be able to broadcast evidence of corruption to all member species simultaneously. The truth about previous extinctions could turn public opinion against the Alliance leadership. Room, the young elven archivist made contact through secure channels during the meeting. She had compiled evidence of 12 previous species extinctions, ordered by the Alliance Council. Each time the justification was the same: expansion threats and aggressive behavior. The evidence showed a pattern of eliminating any species that might challenge Alliance authority. Maya realized that humanity had become trapped in a cycle that had repeated many times before. The Alliance allowed new species to develop space travel, then eliminated them when they became successful enough to be rivals. This system maintained the power of older species while preventing any real changes to galactic civilization. Meeting on Kepler-7 lasted 8 hours and established the foundation for humanity's survival strategy. Maya would coordinate military operations, while Zarathiel worked to split the alliance politically. Vexera would lead Zephyrian rebels in disrupting alliance communications, and Dr. Foster would broadcast evidence of alliance crimes to the galaxy. As they prepared to leave, Zarathiel made a personal promise to Maya: "If my people exile me for this decision, I will come to Earth and serve in your fleet until the war ends. Humanity has earned allies, and I intend to be one of them." Maya clasped the elven diplomat's hand in a gesture of respect between warriors. "You will always be welcome among humans, Princess. Your courage might save billions of lives." The secret alliance between human elf and rebel Zephyrian had been forged in an abandoned mining facility, but it would reshape the galaxy. The war was about to become something much larger than human survival. It would become a revolution against the ancient order that had controlled civilized space for millennia. 3 women had met to discuss terms of surrender. Instead, they had planned the overthrow of the most powerful government in galactic history. The Alliance had made a critical error in assuming that humans would face extinction alone. Now they would discover that oppression eventually creates its own enemies, and freedom has a way of spreading to unexpected places. Operation Prometheus began. At exactly 0300 hours, Galactic Standard Time, Admiral Maya Rodriguez commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled, with ships from every colony world united under Earth Command. The target was the Alliance communication hub at Centauri Prime, a fortress world that controlled information flow across half the galaxy. Maya stood on the bridge of her flagship, the EDS Liberation, watching enemy formations move into defensive positions. The Alliance had expected this attack, but not its true purpose. They believed humans were making a desperate strike against a strategic target. They did not know that Kiramel, the elven archivist, had already infiltrated the communication arrays with evidence of alliance war crimes. Lisa Park coordinated the fleet movements from her position at the tactical station. Human ships moved in unpredictable patterns that confused Alliance targeting systems. Dr. Amy Foster had designed new jamming technology that disrupted collective coordination among Zephyrian forces. The battle would test every innovation human engineers had developed. The Alliance fleet defending Centauri Prime included vessels from 20 different species, united under the ancient command structure that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Elven cruisers moved like silver arrows through space, while Zephyrian swarms attacked in perfect coordination. Massive hegemony dreadnoughts provided heavy firepower that could destroy human ships. With single shots, Maya launched the first phase of her attack, with fighter squadrons targeting Alliance communication satellites. Each destroyed relay reduced the enemy's ability to coordinate their defense. The plan required precise timing, because the evidence broadcast had to begin before Alliance jamming could block the signal. The surface of Centauri Prime. Kiramel worked frantically in the central communication facility. Her elven heritage gave her access to restricted areas that other species could not enter. She had spent months placing evidence files in the broadcast queue, waiting for the moment when human jamming would force the system to use backup protocols. The young elf had discovered records that shocked even her cynical expectations. The Alliance had exterminated 47 species over the past millennium, always using the same justification of preventing galactic threats. The records showed detailed plans for population control and resource management that treated entire civilizations as disposable obstacles. Athi had publicly broken with the Sylvani government 3 days before Operation Prometheus began. Her declaration of support for humanity created the first official split in Alliance unity. Several younger elven nobles followed her lead, choosing exile over participation in genocide. The Alliance Council declared all rebel elves to be traitors, subject to immediate execution. Meanwhile, Vexara led her rebel Zephyrians in coordinated strikes against Alliance supply lines. Her forces had grown to include thousands of individuals who had broken free from collective control. The civil war among the Zephyrians was spreading as more hive clusters chose independence over conformity. The battle above Centauri Prime reached its climax when Alliance reinforcements arrived from 3 different sectors. Maya found herself outnumbered 5-1, facing the most powerful fleet in galactic history. Her tactical advantages could not overcome such overwhelming odds, but she had never intended to win through military force. Alone at exactly 0600 hours, Caramel activated the evidence broadcast from the communication facility. Every Alliance world received simultaneous transmissions, containing proof of previous extinctions, detailed records of the planned genocide against humanity, and evidence of systematic oppression against younger species. The broadcast lasted only 12 minutes before Alliance forces destroyed the communication arrays, but 12 minutes was enough. The evidence reached billions of beings across hundreds of worlds, including many who had never questioned Alliance authority before. The reaction was immediate and explosive. On the industrial world of Primed Robotics Synthetics declared independence from Alliance rule and began producing weapons for rebel forces. On the ocean world of Aquaria, the dolphin-like cetaceans announced their withdrawal from Alliance membership. The bird-like of the Sky Cities began attacking Alliance facilities in their territory. Maya watched her tactical display as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Alliance was fragmenting as member species chose sides in a conflict that had suddenly become much larger than human survival. Her sacrifice at Centauri Prime had triggered a galactic revolution. The battle itself was a Pyrrhic victory for humanity. Maya lost 8 ships, including 2 heavy cruisers, but her remaining forces escaped with critical intelligence about Alliance military capabilities. More importantly, the mission had achieved its true goal of breaking Alliance unity on Earth. Admiral Kate Sullivan received the battle reports with mixed emotions. The cost had been high, but the strategic situation had changed completely. Instead of facing a united alliance of 300 species, humanity now fought alongside rebel factions from dozens of worlds. Dr. Foster's analysis of captured Alliance technology revealed weaknesses that human engineers could exploit. The aliens had superior individual systems, but their coordination protocols were rigid and predictable. Human creativity in combat gave them advantages that advanced technology could not overcome. Arrived on Earth, aboard a captured Alliance vessel, accompanied by 50 elven nobles who had chosen exile over genocide. She requested permission to establish an embassy on human territory and offered to share elven military secrets with Earth. Command Admiral Sullivan agreed immediately and provided the rebels with a base of operations. The arrival of elven allies created new possibilities for human strategy. Elven technology combined with human innovation produced weapons and defensive systems that surpassed anything either species could create alone. Zerothiel worked directly with Maya to plan joint operations against Alliance strongholds. Vexor rebels, Cephrians, achieved their greatest victory during the battle for the fortress world of Hive 7. They captured the collective command center and liberated millions of individual Zephyrians who had been suppressed by the hive mind. The rebel forces gained access to manufacturing facilities that could produce ships and weapons. Alliance leadership met in emergency session on Nexus Prime to address the crisis facing their government. High Arbiter Salinas, who had replaced the exiled Zerothiel, demanded immediate military action against all rebel factions. The older species feared that the revolution could destroy their ancient privileges. Alliance forces began retreating from outer territories to defend core worlds. But this strategy created new problems. Abandoned systems fell under rebel control, while Alliance resources were stretched too thin to maintain effective patrols. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was contracting rapidly. Maya reorganized human forces into joint task forces with Elven and Zephyrian allies. The combined fleets proved far more effective than any single species fighting alone. Human adaptability complemented Elven precision, while rebels' Zephyrian swarm tactics confused Alliance formations. The war had transformed from human survival to galactic revolution. Young species that had lived under Alliance oppression for centuries saw an opportunity for freedom. The Verdani plant people began producing biological weapons that could disable Alliance ships. The crystalline lithoids shared mining technology that allowed rebels to build hidden bases and asteroid fields. Admiral Sullivan promoted Maya to the rank of Fleet Admiral and gave her command of all human forces. The promotion came with a sobering responsibility. Maya now led not just human survival efforts, but a revolutionary movement that could reshape galactic civilizations. The first year of war ended. The galaxy looked nothing like it had when the Alliance issued their ultimatum. Hundreds of worlds had joined the rebellion while Alliance territory shrank daily. The ancient order was crumbling under pressure from species that refused to accept oppression. Maya stood in the war room on Earth, looking at tactical displays that showed rebel forces throughout the galaxy. The Alliance still controlled more territory and resources, but their unity was broken. The revolution had momentum that could not be stopped by military force. Alana Sarathiel entered the war room, carrying reports from Elven intelligence networks across Alliance space. The news was encouraging even among loyal Alliance species. There was growing unrest as citizens learned the truth about their government's crimes. The broadcast from Centauri Prime had planted seeds of doubt that were now growing into open rebellion. Galaxy had chosen to erase Earth, but Earth had chosen to free the galaxy instead. 2 years after the Alliance ultimatum, Fleet Admiral Maya Rodriguez stood in the observation deck of Unity Station, watching ships from dozens of species work together in ways the galaxy had never seen before. The massive space station orbited Earth, serving as headquarters for the free species compact that had emerged from the ashes of the old Alliance. War had officially ended 6 months ago, when the last Alliance holdouts surrendered after the Battle of Nexus Prime. Maya had led the final assault, alongside Princess Sarathiel and Liberation Leader Vexera, in a combined fleet that represented the new galactic order. The ancient capital of Alliance power was now a memorial to the species that had been exterminated by the old regime. Dr. Amy Foster walked onto the observation deck, carrying reports from the newly established Department of Interspecies Relations. Her work had expanded far beyond studying alien technology to helping forge the governmental structure that would replace Alliance rule. The task was enormous, but progress was being made daily. The free species compact now included over 150 worlds, with new members joining every week. Former Alliance species were learning to govern themselves without the rigid hierarchy that had controlled their ancestors for centuries. The transition was difficult, but necessary for lasting. Pisami handed Maya the latest membership applications from 3 species that had been Alliance client states. For over 500 years, the Melodians, whose crystal cities sang in harmony with stellar radiation, had voted unanimously to join the compact. Their music would enrich galactic culture in ways the Alliance had never. Aloedgerthiel approached the group wearing the simple uniform of the compact peacekeeping force. She had refused offers to establish a new elven kingdom, choosing instead to serve as an advocate for oppressed species throughout the galaxy her people had initially condemned. Her exile, but now many young elves sought to follow her example. The princess carried disturbing news from the outer territories. Alliance remnants, led by hardline traditionalists, were conducting terrorist attacks against compact member worlds. They called themselves the Restoration Movement and claimed to represent the true galactic government. Their attacks targeted civilian populations and refugee settlements. Maya studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. The remnants included some of the most fanatical Alliance supporters who would never accept the new order. Admiral Sullivan had authorized the creation of joint peacekeeping forces to deal with the terrorist threat, but hunting scattered cells across the galaxy would take years. Vexera joined the group in the observation lounge, her individual consciousness now fully developed. After years of independence from the collective mind, she commanded a fleet of liberated Zephyrian ships, crewed by beings who had chosen freedom over conformity. Her people had established a new society that balanced individual rights with community cooperation. The conversation turned to the memorial being constructed near Unity Station. Amy Foster had designed the monument to honor the 47 species exterminated by the Alliance over the centuries. Each species would be remembered with artworks created by their surviving cultural archives. The memorial would ensure that such genocide could never be forgotten or repeated. Maya walked to the main viewing port, watching human ships work alongside vessels from species that had been enemies just 2 years earlier. The sight still amazed her after months of seeing such cooperation. The galaxy had been transformed by beings who refused to accept the limits imposed by ancient prejudice. Sissa Park entered the lounge with her daily operational briefings. The tactical officer had been promoted to admiral, and now commanded compact forces in the eastern sectors. Her reports showed steady progress in integrating former Alliance military units into the new peacekeeping structure. The process required careful attention because many officers had served the old regime for decades. The most significant challenge facing the compact was establishing fair representation for species with vastly different populations and technological capabilities. How could the needs of billions of humans be balanced against the concerns of a few thousand crystalline beings whose lifespan measured in millennia? Foster had proposed a council system based on bioregions rather than species boundaries. Each sector of space would elect representatives, regardless of which species lived there. This approach encouraged cooperation between neighbors, while preventing any single species from dominating others. Caramel, the young elven archivist, had been appointed as deputy director for historical reconciliation. Her job was to document Alliance crimes and help healing between former enemies. The work was emotionally difficult but necessary for building trust in the new government. The compact faced external threats beyond Alliance remnants. Several isolationist species had refused to join either the old Alliance or the new government. They controlled strategic resources and trade routes that could destabilize the galactic economy if they chose to become hostile. Maya reviewed intelligence about the hegemony masters, an ancient species that had withdrawn from galactic politics. After the Alliance collapse, their technologies surpassed even elven capabilities, but they showed no interest in conquest or expansion. The compact hoped to establish peaceful relations, but the masters remained completely silent. Sarathiel offered her perspective on dealing with isolationist species based on centuries of elven diplomatic experience. Many older races preferred stability over justice and feared the changes that freedom movements brought. The compact would need patience and persistence to win their trust. The discussion was interrupted by an emergency alert from the communication center. Reports were coming in of a major terrorist attack on the colony world of New Harmony. Alliance remnants had targeted a refugee settlement housing survivors from previously exterminated species. The attack was both strategic and symbolic. Maya called an immediate meeting of the Compact Security Council. Admiral Sullivan participated through secure communication link from Earth Command. The terrorist attack required swift response to prevent escalation and show that the new government could protect its citizens within 6 hours. Compact peacekeeping forces were en route to New Harmony, led by joint task forces commanded by human, elven and Zephyrian officers working together. The rapid response demonstrated the advantages of the new governmental structure over the old Alliance bureaucracy. The rescue operations at New Harmony lasted 3 days and saved thousands of refugee families. The attack had been brutal, but the compact response showed unity and determination. The terrorists had hoped to trigger retaliation between different species. Instead, they strengthened resolve for peaceful cooperation. Maya returned to Unity Station exhausted but satisfied with the emergency response. The compact had passed its first major crisis and emerged stronger. The galaxy was learning that the new government could act decisively when threatened while maintaining its commitment to justice and equality. As the second anniversary of the Alliance ultimatum approached, Maya reflected on the changes that seemed impossible just 2 years earlier. Humanity had faced extinction but chose to fight for something larger than survival. They had fought for the right of all species to determine their own destiny The observation deck of Unity Station provided a perfect view of the construction work, beginning on the first interspecies colony in galactic history. Beings from 12 different worlds would live together, sharing resources and knowledge, while maintaining their unique cultural identities. Dor Foster joined Maya at the viewing port, watching construction ships position habitat modules designed for different atmospheric requirements. The colony represented everything the compact hoped to achieve: cooperation without assimilation, diversity within unity, freedom with responsibility. Sheshach and Vexera stood beside their human allies, looking out at a galaxy that was finally free to grow and change. The war had ended, but the work of building a better civilization would continue for generations. Each species would contribute their unique gifts to a future that honored the past while embracing possibility. Galaxy had chosen to erase Earth, but Earth had chosen to transform the galaxy instead.